final thoughts in terms of, you know, this next season that you've launched the strategy, you're making the claims, you're going to be measuring it, and where, you know, what do you think is the future of business now in a role to play as we build back better post-COVID? What's your hope for this next era for us as the 21st century generation?
Oh gosh, that's a huge question. I just hope I can do it justice. I'm not sure I can. You know, we let's just be clear. I mean, you know, we're still in a COVID pandemic. Many parts of the world are likely to be impacted by this for at least another 2 years. You know, whatever we may all think, you know, as we get vaccinated, if we have this view that somehow we will go back to normal, I'm not sure that's true. No. I think the world has gravitationally changed as a consequence of this, and I think it's also created a lot of moments of introspection and self-reflection at a personal level for many people. And in some ways, it's been incredibly challenging, but it's also given people a new perspective, a new outlook on what they want to get from their lives and the way they want to lead their lives. So I think this is one of those moments, those big seminal moments of change, which I think we should just understand is the new reality. Yeah. For companies like ours, obviously, we're a consumer health and hygiene company as well as a nutrition company. And so, you know, our biggest challenge for the last year has just been to meet the demand, the unmet needs of so many people. And actually, I think this nexus between, you know, public health and things like future pandemics and risks, you know, basic hygiene and sanitation and all these things are going to remain absolutely important if we're going, and things that we still need to invest in if we're going to be able to avoid future risks and future pandemics, and indeed a future, you know, we don't want the COVID to come back again. If we're able to contain it, it will certainly mean that we have to remain vigilant, and we have to ensure that hygiene stays at the front and center of people's minds. And obviously that overlap between, you know, zoological and biodiversity loss and impacts with climate change, these are all integrated things. So from our point of view, a lot of change will impact our business going forwards. In fact, we talk about these 5 big mega trends that drive everything that our business will do over the coming years. And at the heart of it, one of them is this issue of both climate change, urbanization, and this link to public health and climate change. I think if you are saying to me, what do I think are sort of some of the challenges or the issues, I think we've touched on a lot of things in this last 10 or 15 minutes of conversation, or 20 minutes of conversation we've had together. There are big questions about the role that business plays in society, heightened expectations as a result of what's happened with the pandemic. Companies increasingly looked at by their employees as the primary source often of information. Their heightened expectations of the employee for what the company needs to do for them, for their well-being, for their mental resilience, for their, you know, and that's going to continue. This need to be recognizing the importance of being more inclusive, more diverse, addressing some of these big inequities. That's again something that business is going to have to address. Unlike the previous period of economic downturn and recession, where in effect we parked the bus on climate change and we sort of ran away and said it was all about the economy, stupid. The opposite is happening. People are saying, actually, now we need to take more action. We do need to do it faster, and we're going to expect it of companies, and they need to step up and take ownership of this. And that's exactly why we made the announcement we did yesterday, that we're going to be one of the partners for the coming COP26 climate summit. And we're going to be the hygiene partner, because we're going to be the partner that tries to help the government to keep it a safe COP. We want people to be hygienically safe and protected during that very important process of negotiation for the world. And so I think, you know, businesses' expectations are heightening, which means that this is an area where, in terms of the impact you have on the world, it's going to become more and more important. And it's going to become more important to recruiting people, keeping people with you, all those other things we talked about. And that gets built around openness, transparency, honesty, storytelling. It links to then being able to, within that, is to operationalize things into your core business. You can't just tell the story, you have to take action. And taking action means you have to build the systems and the processes and the governance and the oversight and the measurement in order for that to become a reality. So the big focus in the next 2 or 3 years is how are we going to build the operational frameworks to enable all of this?
Yeah. And
then as we action it, it's back to the last topic we just talked about, which is how are we going to be able to measure and report against that, and acknowledge that in some cases there are going to be some gaps and deficiencies, and we've still got to, you know, learn our way into some of this. But the path is pretty clear. That's the path that we're all on. And I think the companies that make those transitions and put their effort into doing it, even if they don't get it right 100% of the time, I think will still be here in the coming, you know, decade and beyond. And those that don't, I think at some stage are going to find it harder, and probably in some cases will not be there in the next decade.
So is your punchline for those CEOs and boards sitting around the world at the moment going, yeah, I don't know if sustainability is going to be a thing and we can kind of do business as usual? Are you saying get on the train, or?
Well, I'm saying
like the train's going, it's leaving the station.
In life, everything is about choices, right? And you have choices to make. And if you choose not to, well, that of course is you're right. You can decide to do whatever you think is right for your business. My view of that is that you're making a grave error of judgment if that's the path you choose to go on. And it won't necessarily be the case that your business will, you know, fall off the end of a cliff tomorrow morning. But over time, you will see your market share erode. I think you will find it harder to get people to come and work for you. I think you're going to find governments are going to have much more interventionist approaches to regulating you. Look, that's right. If I look at the good example of this is right now, governments are broke, right? They have just broken the bank.
That's right.
They have borrowed and borrowed and borrowed in order to get us to a place where at least we could keep the economy from completely imploding. Yes. Somehow they're going to have to pay for this.
That's
now,
right.
Inevitably, what I think is going to happen is that they're going to go and address they're going to use fiscal instruments where I think they're going to link it to things like environmental bans, plastic taxes, packaging, non-recyclable materials, or they're going to put a price on carbon. At some point, I can see this happening. And what will come out of that is, okay, if you have not invested in trying to decarbonize your business now, because it takes time, right? In 3 to 5 years' time, you will be unable to do much about it at that point in your future. That's right. And therefore you'll be paying for it in heightened amounts of tax. Those that are doing it now will reap a benefit because their business model will be more resistant and will be able to weather that storm and benefit from it in some ways.